Hello, one and all, and welcome to Film Fragments, the very first episode of this revived new edition of this show. This show was a thing a year and a half ago, and then I decided to do real life things, and I decided to step away from this podcast, but now I wanted to come back because I missed it so much. So, Film Fragments, guys, in case you're new and don't know what this show is, well, let me tell you what it is. It's a podcast where we take fragments of an actor, director, or genre and tell you our favorites from their catalog. And today, on the very first episode of this revived version of Film Fragments, I thought it'd be a great idea to talk about America's dad, one of the best actors of all time, two-time Academy Award winner, Mr. Thomas Hanks.
Tom Hanks. A Mel Gibson episode.
Oh my God! Look at that, guys. Guys, look at this. We have guests. And usually we have guests on these shows, but today I'm so excited to introduce to you guys the Cinema Scumbags themselves. Seth and Nick, guys, how are you doing today?
Bryan, doing great. Thank you for having us on.
Of course.
Really appreciate it.
Felt like we were on Hot Ones for a second.
Yeah, that was a nice enthusiastic intro, man.
Great introduction.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate. So before we talk about the one and only Tom Hanks, what is the Cinema Scumbags? What do you guys do? What do you guys talk about other than cinema? And why do you guys love film so much? See, I'm so excited to talk to you guys. And what got you guys into film?
This is you, Seth.
Oh, you're going to make me our official spokesman? All right.
Your dad.
Well, I am the dad of the podcast. Like you said, Bryan, thanks for having us on. We've been doing the Cinema Scumbags podcast for like 7 years now, which is amazing. I actually just got the memory the other day on Facebook. Film podcast started with 4 of us. Is that how many we had? Yeah. Now
it was 4, went to 5.
Went to 5, dwindled down to 2 now. But yeah, we've been friends for a long time. We actually met through YouTube and kind of broke off, formed our own thing. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, we kind of take a R-rated approach to some film discussions. We're tuning it down.
No, that's a lie. It's a G-rated approach. That's a lie. It's a G-rated approach.
We want to have a we want to have a nice family-friendly episode, but love film, so excited to be on here and talking about Tom.
Absolutely. So when it comes to Tom Hanks, why do you guys think that he is highly regarded as one of the best actors working, not just working today, but just in general? Why do you guys think everybody in the world loves Tom Hanks so much?
I think he's just a really likable guy. Every character he plays a hero, likable person. Like, can you think of any movies where he's playing a bad guy?
Yeah, has Tom ever played just like a total dirtbag, like the villain or anything?
Well, I mean, not the villain per se, but he kind of was a scum in Road to Perdition.
That's true. That is true.
But how many people that like Tom Hanks think of that movie? Think of your
not many people
film fan. Yeah. They're not going to talk about Road to Perdition.
Right.
He seems potentially like he could be a scumbag in the new Elvis movie, though.
Oh, God. I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't know how I feel about that movie. I don't like Baz Luhrmann that much.
He looks like Forrest Gump got fat.
Literally.
We are 2 lonely children.
I don't know. Tom's just got something about, he's certain actors, you see them over the years and they just seem like people you'd want to hang out with or something. I don't know how to describe it. He just seems like a nice guy.
He exudes a charisma.
Yeah.
And
I always thought
actors
that
don't.
Till I saw that video the other day, him just, dropping the F-bomb on the paparazzi. It's a little scary.
You want to set up that video a little bit? What happened?
Well, him and Rita were they in the airport?
I think they were just in a hotel in New York doing press for Elvis.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Those paparazzi, they get all over you as soon as you walk out, and they almost trampled over Rita Wilson, and Big Daddy Tom wasn't having it. It's about as angry as I've ever seen him, I'll tell you that.
He hasn't cussed that much since he played Carl Hanratty.
that is so true. Doctor, need a doctor.
That was the villain role he hadn't played yet.
Yeah, that was crazy. But other than that, Tom just always seemed like America's dad,
Literally. He just seems like a very down-to-earth, humble guy. He's always given 110% to his performance as well. Most of them. There's some duds in his career, but who doesn't have any duds?
That is true.
Mel Gibson.
Have you seen the beaver? Because I have.
Oh,
Oh,
you
my
haven't
God.
seen a beaver, that's for sure.
Hey,
Hey.
Sorry, PG.
Oh my God, we're already getting into
Hey.
the comedy. Hey, we're already getting into all the comedy here. But no, we all love Tom Hanks. He's literally one of the best actors. When people ask who are my favorite actors to work at today, he's definitely, I would say, in the top 5. I don't know who my personal favorite is today, but he's definitely in the top 5.
yep, fair enough for sure. I mean,
I need to put together a list like that and figure out who is in my top 5.
Yeah.
I can think of some names off the top of my head, but I don't know
Jimmy
if Tom would
Stewart.
make it in there. Jimmy Stewart, Ethan Hawke, Mel Gibson, Dustin Hoffman, maybe Tom. I suppose Tom.
Definitely Tom.
I suppose he's okay.
Tim Hanks, Chet
Tim
Hanks. Chet Hanks is my favorite actor.
Yeah,
Hanks.
actually, this is a change. Actually, we're changing the episode. We're talking about top 5 Chet Hanks moments.
Ooh, top 5 Chet Hanks mixtapes.
Oh, that guy is a. Oh God,
They
I
can't
can't
all be
believe-
Colin.
I can't believe he's related to Tom Hanks. I just can't believe it.
Weird, isn't it? I actually
It's
just
so
watched
weird.
that Paramount series, The Offer, about the making of The Godfather,
Mhm.
and Colin's got a pretty big role in that. It's always good to see him.
I like Colin.
Yeah.
He's good. I like
He
him
was-
in Fargo. Fargo was good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Fargo is good. He was good in like his 2 episodes of Band of Brothers.
Check out The Offer if you want to see Dan Fogler playing Francis Ford Coppola.
What a weird casting. That's such a weird casting.
He's a serious actor now.
He does a good job though. He's like the best part of that show, man.
Well, he's the best part of Fantastic Beasts as well.
Oh, that's
Mm,
well, yeah. There's
best
that's
part
not
is the
saying a whole lot.
credits.
Yeah, best part's when they end, dude.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, that's true. That's true.
Gee,
When
I
did
wonder what
Dumbledore
this...
go from wearing a suit to wearing wizard robes?
Oh my God.
Well, it's like within 10 years. So he goes from Jude Law to Michael Gambon within 10 years.
Let me throw away the suits. I'm going to get this majestic Merlin robe and wear around.
Oh my God.
Well, what would you do if you had to kill your lover?
I made it 10 minutes into that new one on HBO, and I
The
I
first
don't
10
usually
minutes
do
is
that.
like the best part of it.
Exactly.
Well, I got out at the right time then.
Oh, you did. Does it get much better from
Man.
there?
Damn.
Oh my God. Thank
I
God
wonder what
Tom
his
is on
secret
that.
is.
Yeah, literally.
Like his boy butt.
Oh, well, Tom Hanks. So the way this is going to work, everybody, now we're going to get into Tom Hanks. We're going to go through our 5 through 1. We're going to talk about our top 5 favorite Tom Hanks films. The way it's going to work, we're going to go through our 5 through 1. Nick, Seth, me. The way it's going to work is that we're going to talk about a film. Now, if the film is higher on someone else's list after they talk about it, the other people are going to say pass. Or if it's not on their list, they just talk about their thoughts about it and everything. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, the top 5 Tom Hanks films of all time. So, Nicholas, what is your number 5 favorite Tom Hanks film? Now, think about it. You got to choose wisely, because if you say a film and then halfway through recording, you're like, no, I want to change it, but I can't. Well, it's too late. You can't do that. You can't
I'm
do
not
that.
thinking that deeply into it.
So,
I can almost guarantee that this one will not be on either of your lists. I had to choose, and I decided to go with one. No spoilers now, no spoilers. But I decided to go with one that I thought was probably one of his best performances. Not particularly one of my favorite movies, but I think he was great in this film. He won an Oscar for it. Philadelphia from 1993. I have not seen this one in quite some time, but the performance is memorable enough that I figured it was worth mentioning. Deals with a lot of shall we say, real world issues, I guess.
Yes.
And I just think it's a very well done film by Jonathan Demme, rest in peace. Well acted film by Denzel Washington, rest in peace. And very well done film by Tom Hanks, rest in peace.
Not yet. Tom's still kicking. I do agree with you. Like, you know, my list doesn't have that. A lot of these Tom films that I love, I have a lot of replay value. Philadelphia is one that kind of takes a lot out of you, you know.
Not
but that-
replayable, but
No,
No.
but that is, in terms of performance, yeah, I think that's a worthwhile addition to anyone's list.
Yeah, that's definitely one of his best performances, and it's really not one that has a lot of rewatchability, like you guys said. Like the subject matter is so gruesome and very depressing and really real, and
kind of ahead of its time too.
It is ahead of its time, yeah.
But I think it's what probably propelled him from like bosom buddy to prestige actor.
Yeah, during that time, Tom was like pumping out great film after great film after great film, and
this is like the beginning of his. Like,
that's the beginning.
90s, like nobody's ever done anything like this as far as like a filmography period.
Yeah, and the amount of research that he did preparing for that role, like he went to a lot of hospitals to talk to a lot of people that have AIDS. I think he talked to a lot of gay people as well, and he really immersed himself into that role, and it is one of the best performances he's ever given. I mean, like that sequence where he's talking and the opera music is playing, like that is one of the best acted scenes that he's ever done. Like truly powerful stuff. So Seth, what is your number 5?
Well, sure this one might overlap here, but that's okay. Steven Spielberg film, 2002.
Oh,
Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Talk about blue balls.
Catch me if you can. What did you think I was talking about? Bridge of Spies, buddy?
No,
you were talking about the Post.
Oh, the Post,
of course.
No, that's kind of some of those Spielberg films, man. Got to be about 90 to enjoy those. But Catch Me If You Can, 2002, based on the true story. You guys have to help me out here. It's been a while since I've seen this one. Frank
Abagnale Jr.
Frank Abagnale Jr. Yeah, I was actually late to this movie. I feel, Spielberg is everyone knows Spielberg. I do feel like even now with Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio, this film kind of goes underappreciated, doesn't really get seen.
I think it's starting to get a little bit more of a revival.
I agree.
Yeah, I've kind of felt that too. Like over the past couple of years, maybe people are starting to know about it. But God, for the longest time, I never even. It just was one of those that you'd see the poster and just kind of ignore or not really pay much attention to. But Spielberg, Hanks, DiCaprio, Christopher Walken. I mean, there's a lot of good people. Just an interesting movie and kind of a different thing for Tom Hanks. He's a little aggressive in this movie.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
That was
watching it for the first time. You're a little kind of like taken back by what you're seeing from Tom.
Yeah, that was definitely one that I got into pretty late. I think that was one that I think somebody sent that to me. I think it may have been one of you guys. I'm not sure.
It was me. It was me.
Okay. I think that was, you're like, I'm sending everybody a copy.
Yeah. That's what it was like at $20. And I could probably get it for $5 somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But also really good music. I think John Williams did the score for this. So,
of course.
Just a good movie. The true story, like I said, Frank Abagnale, was he like doing all like con artist stuff with A&M and all that?
Like a kid, pretty much. He's like became a airline pilot,
a doctor, a lawyer.
Yeah,
that's right.
And he was only 16.
Yeah, he's committing fraud all over the place.
Yeah,
really good though. Really good. DiCaprio, Hanks. Watch it.
Yeah. I'm gonna pass on this one. This is a little higher on my list. I'm gonna pass on this one. Oh my god, can't wait to talk about it. So
you could talk about it better than I did. No
so for me, my number 5, and this was really difficult to put this low on the list.
Oh no!
And I'm really sorry to Nick in advance. Saving Private Ryan.
Look, but it made the list, and that's all that matters.
This is bullshit. Pass.
Oh my god. What can you say about this that hasn't been said already? In my opinion, best war film I think I've ever seen. The opening sequence is on a whole other level. Tom's performance is it really is honestly understated. It's honestly one of his more underrated performances. Like everyone talks about the movie, like everyone talks about the direction, but not many people talk about Tom's performance in here. It's very understated, very subdued compared to his other work. And just that opening is...
I want to talk about it.
It's we'll get to it, buddy. But no, just that whole film is just really incredible. I haven't rewatched it as much as I would like to. I bought the 4K not too long ago, and I put it in and watched the opening sequence in the 4K, and it was just absolutely glorious and everything. But it's
for what it is, like the way they shot it, it does look clean.
It's very clean.
Supposed to be shot like a documentary, and it's
very handheld. He kind of did that similar style with Schindler's List, where it was very handheld, kind of like a documentary, and you're immersed with everything. But it is one of Spielberg's best films, one of Tom Hanks' best films, one of the best war films. You've heard all the praise. How it didn't win Best Picture at the Oscars is absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. I haven't seen Shakespeare in Love. I don't like to comment on movies I haven't seen, but how is that a worthy Best Picture winner over Saving Private Ryan? Like,
I agree with it. I haven't seen it either, but you know what? In that case, you don't have to see it to know.
Like,
that's
exactly.
a yes move. Yeah.
Like of all the movies to pick, how do you pick Shakespeare in Love over Saving Private Ryan, which is
2 words: Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
yeah, that's the thing. Go up to 100 people on the street, ask them if they've seen Saving Private Ryan. Bet you most of them say yes. Ask them if they've seen Shakespeare in Love. They probably wouldn't even know what you're talking about. You know,
literally, no one has seen that movie probably since it came out. So, 24 years later, everyone still talks about Saving Private Ryan. So,
I had to see what it was all about. It's pretty solid, but yeah, it's not even like, it was obviously a
Best Picture winner. Come on.
No. It was obviously like a really hard campaign, but no pun intended, really hard campaign by Harvey.
Well, at least Spielberg got directed. That was a very worthy one. Like not winning Best Picture is disappointing, but if he didn't win directing for it, that would have been even more disappointing.
Yeah, I agree. I'll have to pass on this because it is a little higher for me. But
all right. So Nick, what is your number 4?
Number 4. I know this is going to be on one person's list.
Mazes and Monsters.
Joe versus the volcano.
Oh my
God. The Money Pit.
Hey, that one's not bad.
No, number 4 on my list is a little known film, a little oxymoron, little known film called Big.
At least it's on.
At least it's on the list.
At least it's on the list.
So, with
who the do you think you are?
You're Josh Baskin, remember?
Yeah. God damn it, Billy Francis Kopecki.
Billy Francis Kopecki.
Your hair's getting long.
I got a cut yesterday.
Okay,
Josh,
you know what? I don't think it's terrible on the list
anymore. Oh, we could spend the whole episode on this movie, man.
Oh yeah, so Big, 1988 film. This is actually like one of the first movies I remember like really rewatching a lot growing up, and I don't even know like why, where, how it came about in my life, but I just think that his performance, an adult having to play a child trying to be an adult, is just
right.
It's a little complex, and I think he does a really good job with it. It's hard to really put my finger on what I really like about it, but I think it's just kind of endlessly rewatchable, super entertaining. It's an easy watch. It's funny. It's heartfelt. It's got all the things you want in a movie, and it's got a fantastic performance at the helm by the man himself.
Oscar-nominated performance.
Oscar-nominated,
yes. Deservedly so. Who won? Who beat him that year?
Who did beat him? Actually, I know that.
1988.
Dustin Hoffman, I think.
Oh, that's fine then. That's cool.
Keep
going.
I'm sorry, man. I forgot we weren't doing our own. That is so rude.
God, fucking disgusting.
Yeah, that's a great way to act as a guy. I'm sorry.
Sickening.
So the person who ended up winning was Dustin Hoffman for Rain Man.
Okay, if he was to lose to somebody, that's all right.
I'm a big fan of Rain Man, but Big is the better movie.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely more rewatchable.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say about Big, Nick?
It's pretty good.
I'm going to pass on this.
Me too.
All right.
Higher up.
Oh, gee, I wonder where.
It's higher up on the list.
Now, Seth, you're number 4. What is it?
Number 4, I'm going to guess that you guys don't have this on your list. I could be wrong. Bryan, you might. I know Nick won't. 1995, directed by Ronald Howard. Apollo 13.
Ronald.
No, that's not
Toy Story.
That's not on my list. No, Toy Story's great, but in terms of my favorites, I'd rather watch Apollo 13.
Not my favorite space movie.
You know, that's okay. You can enjoy it for what it is. You don't have to compare it to the other space films out there.
I don't know what.
Sorry that Stanley Kubrick didn't make it.
Yeah, sorry. There's no monoliths. You know,
just mongoloids.
Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton,
Rest in
Ed
peace.
Harris.
Playing the cancer cards.
Yeah, dude, that is one of the most effed up clips I've ever seen. If he's really saying that, which he looks like he is, I'm pretty sure he did say that's crazy.
Playing the botched surgery card.
How dare you say that to David Fisher?
Yeah, unbelievable. David Fisher, what the greatest character of all time. Anyways, 1995, based on the Apollo 13. The aborted 1970 space mission. It's fantastic. It's intense. Hit points. Tom's great. What is it, Nick? What's smart ass to give?
Just funny the way it's intense.
It is
at times. No, just at times.
Oh, the end of that movie when they're waiting to see if they're going to make it down, and the family's all gathered around the TV, and you think contact's been lost, and suddenly the space capsule emerges. The boys are back. What a great
boys
film.
are back in town.
I actually just watched his 4K not too long ago. I had it for a while and finally cracked into it. Ron Howard's a guy that he's made some movies I really like, but weird filmography because
very weird filmography.
There's some things on there that you're just like, really?
The Dilemma.
Yeah, the Dilemma. Perfect example. But always enjoyed Apollo 13. Like Nick, it's not my favorite space film, but I think it's a pretty great film. So Tom and the rest of the cast are really solid in it.
Yeah, it's right outside the top 5. It's a great film. It's the space sequences are unbelievable. It might be the best Ron Howard film. It's not my favorite, but I think it might be the best one he's done. And yeah, Tom is incredible, and obviously it has one of the most iconic lines in cinema history. Houston, we have a problem.
Oh,
it's
for sure.
It's very good. It's a very good film. Very intense, like Seth said, very thrilling. And yeah, I mean, yeah.
Looking at Ron Howard's filmography, I agree with you. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I think it is probably his best movie.
Yeah,
I think Cinderella Man might be up there for me.
Oh, it's so good. That's a good movie.
It's a good boxing movie.
Very good boxing movie.
We'll get to my number 1 splash later on in the show.
So my number 4, I could already tell the viewers listening are going to be pissed that this isn't my number 1. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't like this movie. My number 4 is Forrest Gump. And I know Forrest Gump has a weird reputation. Like, you either love it or you're not a fan of it. And I will tell you that for the longest time, I wasn't really a big fan of Forrest Gump. It probably wasn't until I was maybe like 17, 18 years old. And I don't know, something about it like really clicked with me. Like, I got really emotionally invested in the characters. I got really sad. I laughed a lot. And Tom's performance, again, not his best performance, but he's just such a likable guy. That Forrest Gump is a very likable character. And everyone else around him is amazing. I think Gary Sinise as Lieutenant Dan should have won an Academy Award. I think that's a really great performance. And Robin Wright, I mean, oh my God, Mama. She is Mama. She is
AIDS.
I was going to make that joke next, but you beat me to it. So thank you.
We got it covered.
But no, I mean, like, it's just kind of surreal, like how this film was made. And they placed Tom Hanks in this historical footage, and it looks very seamless. I mean, now it's kind of a little dated, but for the time, almost 30 years ago when this came out, it's impressive. And I'm a big fan of Zemeckis. I actually think he's a very underappreciated filmmaker. Like, yeah, everyone talks about Back to the Future, which I love, and a possible other Tom Hanks film that we'll get to, The Polar Express. But no, but I mean, just the filmmaking here on display is unbelievable, and Tom's performance is amazing. And you know what? As cheesy as the moment is, I actually really do get emotional when he's like, is he smart, when he sees his son for the first time. That's a really depressing moment.
How is that? That's not cheesy at all. I don't think.
No, there are people that think that. I don't think that, but there are people that do. They're like,
they're idiots.
They are idiots.
Like, how is that cheesy? Like, I'm gonna pass right now.
See, I could talk about this because it is not on my list, which is, I would guess that most people, if they're making a top Tom Hanks list, would probably have Forrest Gump on there at some point. But I'm kind of like Bryan on this. I never really was a big fan of it. I actually watched it a couple years ago for the first time in a long time, and it kind of clicked for me as an adult, I guess, but I like the movie. He's great. It was just never one of my favorites, but like Bryan said, for the time when they were putting him in all those sequences of historic events, that was a big deal, and it does still look pretty good. But I don't know. This is one that I kind of always wait for it to really click for me. I feel like every time I watch it, I might appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, it really is great. I mean, the music is great, both the score and the soundtrack. So many great hits from like the 60s and 70s. Yeah. And I was watching an interview the other day with him where someone brought up how Elvis was in Forrest Gump, and now he's going to be in the Elvis movie. So it all came full circle and everything. Yep. So I thought that was kind of funny. I didn't even think about that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Elvis was in like the beginning of the movie. No, it's a great film.
First thing I thought of when I saw that.
No, but everyone's great in it. Sally Field, she deserves a shout out. Great performance, like truly. I mean, she's played two of the best moms in cinema history, Forrest Gump and Mrs. Doubtfire. Just
not Aunt May.
No.
Well,
kind of a mom. Still mommy in it.
Yeah. She could still get it.
If you like your
yeah, she can still get it just because of who she is. I don't care if she's 90, she can still get it.
Oh man. No, but yeah, Forrest Gump is a great film, and yeah, I love it. Makes me cry, makes me laugh. It does everything that it needs to do.
Would you say that's sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Would you say that's probably Tom's most famous performance?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
For the general,
Yeah, it's definitely his most popular performance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, number 3, Nick.
Number 3. I can guarantee once again, this is on somebody's list. That is the 2000 film Castaway.
Oh, it's on the list.
Oh, it's there. It's
speaking of Robert Zemeckis. This is a movie that once again I came to a little bit late, and I didn't appreciate it the first time watching it. After a couple viewings, it kind of clicked for me, and I think once again it's a very understated performance. Like, obviously the stuff on the beach and with Wilson and having to act against nobody, that's very impressive. But the scene that I think of in particular is when he comes back and he's talking about Helen Hunt, and it's just like the whole thing is just a slow pan all the way across. All the way.
You're gonna make us, I'm crying over here.
And he's talking about how he lost her all over again. That, and then the scene when he goes and sees her at her place, and
oh my god,
they have that reconnection in the rain, and it's just like I get chills just talking about it.
Yes. Oh my god.
I want to go off on a tangent on Castaway right now, but I'm going to refrain for a little bit. But
yeah,
you said it all.
I'll get to it when I get to it. So now, Seth, what is your number 3?
Number 3, Saving Private Ryan. We touched on a little bit earlier. Hey, got it in the top 3. As you guys said, I do think, people talk about Saving Private Ryan. Everyone knows it's a great movie, but they don't really single out Tom Hanks' performance in Saving Private Ryan as being great, and it is. It's a great performance. Like you guys, you don't forget that first time you watch that opening scene when they're storming the beaches. I mean, that's kind of something that sticks with you. There's a few moments in your movie watching history that stick with you, and that's one of them. And just a great war movie. Not my favorite war film, but it's up there.
What is your favorite war film?
I always thought it was Apocalypse Now, but after I watched Come and See, So
I still have to see that. I bought the Criterion and I still haven't seen it.
dude, yeah,
You have to be in a mood. You have to be in a mood.
That's what I heard. I don't know when I'll ever be in the mood to watch. I do really want to watch it, but I just know that it's gonna hurt me.
It's very. I mean, it takes a lot out of you.
You have to be in a mood, or it will put you in a mood.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Saving Private Ryan, I could watch about any time. I just it's messed up at parts, but it's not. Come and see it really F with you.
Yeah, with Saving Private Ryan, you're watching Tom Hanks and other actors with come and see. Like these are people you've never seen or heard of, so it feels very visceral and real.
Yeah, I do love Saving Private Ryan, though. One of the great war films.
Truly, it's also Vin Diesel's best movie.
I mean,
yes,
yeah. I couldn't even pick a second best.
Triple X,
The Pacifier.
Oh my god! So my number 3. Me and Nick actually have the same number 3. My number 3 is Castaway. I'll never forget the first time I watched this, and I didn't know like anything about it. I just saw Tom Hanks on the poster, and I'm like, oh, I like Tom Hanks. I'll give it a watch. And obviously, I didn't anticipate it being what it was. And yesterday at my job, like very cool poster, like
crummy poster.
Crummy.
Crummy. It's just a picture of his face. You wouldn't even know what.
I thought you said it was a cool poster.
I mean, I think it's cool, but for marketing purposes, it's just
what
the hell
at
is
the
this?
edge of the
you
world,
wouldn't even think
the journey begins.
Yeah. Okay.
What world?
Yeah,
where
is he on Pangea?
Pangea. I recently started a new job, and yesterday my coworkers and I, we were talking about Tom Hanks for probably a good 10 minutes. And someone asked me, they're like, oh, what do you think of Castaway? And I'm like, I think it's a masterpiece. And someone's like, really? And I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me you're one of those simpletons that hate it. And they're like,
idiots.
Fucking buffoon.
So now I got a new job.
Like, oh God, I'm going to rate my job on LinkedIn. If you work in this department, don't talk to anyone about Castaway.
Yeah, they have terrible film opinions over here.
Like literally. But no, I like pretty much everything that Nick said. Like, this is a film that honestly really could have gone down really badly if not in the right hands. Mm-hmm. And I think that in terms of directing, it's not my favorite Zemeckis film. I think it's the best film he's ever done. I think that this is his best film that he's ever done. And, there's like no music for a lot of it, pretty much the entire time he's on the island. And his acting, it's the best acting he's ever done, in my opinion. I don't know how he didn't win the Oscar for this. This should have been an Oscar-winning performance. And, it could have been bad. There was an attempt for it to not work, but because it was Tom Hanks and the script and Zemeckis' direction, it worked so well. And this film is notoriously known because they took that whole year gap where Tom had to lose all that weight, get that long beard. And my God, it's just so many emotions.
Music does pop in though.
Yeah.
Alan Silvestri's score.
It's masterpiece score, truly. Like, again, another score that a lot of people talk about because it is a very short score. It's not like an expansive score like his other stuff is, but it's definitely one of the best that he's ever done. Just everything is great. And I'm tired of whenever people yell Wilson without having seen the movie. It's like when people say run, Forrest, run. Like either watch the movie or don't say it. Like,
Go ahead.
That was a very emotional sequence in the film.
Oh my God.
Be used out of context.
Yeah, that's
you know what you're talking about.
It's actually a very endearing scene where he's losing his friend.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought that you would have been so emotionally engrossed between a man and a volleyball, like that kind of relationship? Like, again, it could have been so cheesy and so stupid, but it felt real. It felt genuine and just everything incredible. Like the scene that Nick brought up with the rain. I mean, there's many great sequences that take place in the rain. Shawshank is one of them, but that sequence in the rain is like top 5 sequences in the rain. Like truly, that is Oh God, just him driving away and then he like just reverses the car so fast. Like, oh my God. Like, dude, like, no, that movie really is incredible. And I mean, I could talk about it for hours. And the last thing I'll say is, actually, there's 2 things. The plane crash, one of the best plane crashes I've ever seen on screen, film or television, just so well done. And then the tooth scene, every time I watch it, it just hurts. It hurts so much. I can't. I can't. But yeah, Castaway, number 3 for me.
I'll be getting to it here in about 30 seconds.
So now, Nick, you're number 2.
You think I'm going to talk about Forrest Gump for 30 seconds?
Oh, sorry. Forgot you were on here.
Forrest Gump, the 1994 film. I'm in the same boat, though, where this is a film that I liked the first time, and then I kind of backed away from it. It's gone back and forth in what I think of it. And then eventually it did finally click that it's a lot more than, just, oh, he's just showing up in these historical things.
Yeah.
It's about a guy that can accomplish anything if you just set your mind to it. Essentially, like, that comes off as cheesy, but that's pretty much what it is. He doesn't let anything stop him, no matter how slow-witted he might be.
Sure.
But I think
you can really relate.
Yeah, I can.
A couple of slow-witted fellas.
Oh, Dan, ice cream.
You ain't got no legs to turn it down.
But I think his performance is understated in the fact that it doesn't feel like a parody of what he's trying to do. I think everybody's great in it. Like you mentioned, the music is fantastic. Alan Silvestri, once again, that Forrest Gump suite is just, never look at feathers the same way again.
No, never.
The scenes that I do think of, though, is of course the one where he meets little Forrest, and he's like, he's like genuinely worried that he passed his affliction onto his kid, and why people think that's cheesy. That's upsetting. That's just disturbing. I can't believe that people would think something.
I agree.
But I think one of his best acted scenes in his whole filmography is when he's talking to Jenny's grave.
Oh my God.
And he's slowly breaking down, and he's just like, I miss you, Jenny.
Wow.
I'm going to cry just thinking about it.
It's so beautiful, and it's so understated. And I think it's just, I'm glad it finally clicked, because now it's one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies and one of my favorite movies of all time.
There are a few movies in my life that I've encountered that every time I go back to them, they kind of get a little bit better. And that's, I think that's the trajectory of Forrest Gump. It kind of clicks a little more every time. Like,
I can see the thought of it, him showing up in all these moments. It does come off as a little bit ridiculous, but I think it works really well.
But it works.
Yeah, it adds a layer to the film beyond just, oh, this is this guy on a journey to, he's got one goal pretty much, to be with Jenny, and it just shows like where your life can go. Right. In between all that.
Riveting Haley Joel Osment performance as well.
Very, very subtle, but he's good in it.
He was
a great child actor, man.
When he's going off to school to get on the bus, he's like, I just want to tell you I love you. I love you too, Dad.
Oh my God.
It's just, I love you too, Dad.
It's so good. What are you watching, Ernie? Fantastic.
Oh my God.
Probably my favorite Zemeckis film.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's really good, but I don't have the same like love that most people do.
Yeah. All right, Seth, talk about Polar Express. Let's go.
All right, number 2 on my list. Larry Crown. No.
Oh God.
Oh man.
We need a retrospective on that one.
What can I say about Castaway that you fellas haven't already covered? First of all, Robert Zemeckis, I agree with what you guys have said. I think he's really underappreciated as a filmmaker. And like Nick just said, I love Back to the Future, but I never had that attachment to that trilogy that a lot of other people do. I think the first movie's great, but man, never been a huge fan of Back to the Future. Castaway has always been my favorite Zemeckis film. And Bryan said earlier, best plane crash I've ever seen in anything. The one that really just kind of, anytime I get in a plane, I'm thinking about that movie.
Better than Corey Lytle.
Yeah. Rest in peace, buddy. And it would take a certain type of actor. You couldn't cast anyone in that role to have that emotion, as a one man on screen, basically acting against nothing. So Hanks did it great, but like you guys have said, the best part for me of that film is when he's not on the island, the stuff at the end, when he reconnects with Helen Hunt, because I always liked how realistic that was. If you disappeared for 4 or 5 years, chances are your wife's going to move on. People are going to assume you're dead. People are going to move on with life.
Yeah,
And
she's not a bad person for doing that.
No.
It's just the unfortunate timing of what happened, and that's that's what sucks about it even more.
Yeah,
Bryan.
I always loved that about that movie. Like, if they would have reconnected and she would have left her husband to go back with him, that would have been a little too Hollywood happy ending. The fact that she realized, hey, I'm here with my
it would have really deteriorated the movie. Like the movie was already so good at that point, and it would have just made it go downhill.
Yeah, I love the realistic outcome of Castaway, because I feel like that's what would happen. And of course, the end, the final scene, you're kind of left with a glimmer of hope for Chuck Nolan. So, love the film. One of my favorite films ever. And Tom Hanks, that's his best acting, I think.
That's a really good point about how it could have gone. And
that's always what has stuck out to me about that movie, because when you watch it for the first time, you think, oh, are they gonna reconnect, and she's gonna tell her current husband to fuck off? I mean, that wouldn't happen. She's moved on
with a kid too.
Yeah, so I love the way everything about that movie is just perfect for me.
Yeah, the way that they do embrace, but they're like, this can't happen.
Kelly, you need to go home.
Oh, I realized I lost her all over again.
Yeah, and real quick before we move on, that monologue with Chuck Nolan's talking to his friend with the
ice in his glass.
Yeah, I mean, man, oh man, masterclass.
Truly,
never thought I was going to cry so much in a podcast before.
Oh God,
literally, truly. So now we're going into our number ones, our favorite Tom Hanks films. Now this is kind of interesting because our number ones are our favorite movies of all time. So for Nick, why is Saving Private Ryan not only your favorite Tom Hanks film, but what makes it your all-time favorite film?
Well, I think it's one of the first like mature movies that I remember watching growing up. Not only watching, but watching with my dad, watching with my parents. One of the first movies they showed me that wasn't Harry Potter, the Barney, whatever the shit I was watching as a kid. And it was my introduction into something that's kind of become parody on the podcast, but my interest and intrigue by World War II, war. And it just kind of really opened me up to what I guess movies could be. And ever since, it just kind of changed my life. I've been obsessed with it ever since. I've watched that opening scene countless times. I can recite probably the whole beginning of it, maybe even the whole movie. It's just, I've obsessed over the movie ever since I first saw it, which was probably not too long after it came out. And it was one of the first movies I bought on DVD to start collecting. It's had a hold on me ever since I saw it. And I never gave it due credit to put it number one. I always had something else. It's like that girl that always treated you well in school and you never gave him a chance. And then you finally realize you fucked up and you're like, you're number one in my life. You are the one.
That was poetic.
Yeah, I love that. Didn't think we get this deep on the podcast, but oh my God.
This is deep stuff here, man.
Right. I love it.
Do you have a favorite scene? Like, what is your favorite scene from the movie? That's a tough question, but like, what scene to you sticks out the most to you of all the scenes in the movie?
So many, but obviously the two big battle sequences that bookend the movie. You've got the Omaha Beach scene at the beginning. You've got the fight at the end, and they're both like exactly the same time. They're like 20-minute long battle sequences, which is not something you typically see in any movie, let alone a war movie.
Yeah.
And I think right before the calm before the storm, before the landing craft doors go down, I think that kind of quietness before they open those doors and the machine guns start coming down, I think that's like my favorite part of the whole thing. Because you're getting introduced to characters that you don't know. Like if it's the first time you've seen it, you're getting introduced to all the characters, the main players. And at the same time, obviously spoiler alert for all these movies, but they lead you to believe that the old man at the beginning is Tom Hanks.
Right.
And it's like one of the most tense, disturbing, violent sequences that you can find in
I
film.
always loved the opening and the ending of that movie with the old man at the graves, and then when he transitions from Matt Damon to him at the end, and that's perfect.
And then what's so beautiful, especially about that ending scene, is you realize like this guy felt like he had to go on and live a life that was worthwhile because of the sacrifice that all these other people made for him. And he turns to his wife. He turns to his wife and he's like, tell me I'm a good man.
But
I do remember like the first, like after a while, I would just skip through the battle sequences.
Right.
Just like I would do with Titanic, I would skip to the sinking. But as I grew up and I matured, obviously I realized that all the good stuff is in between, and you need to watch all that.
The action's great, but it's complemented by what happens before and in between and whatever.
And I think what also is so great, particularly about Tom's performance, is that he has a persona the whole time. These guys have a pool on who they think he is and what they think he does in real life. So he's their captain. He's like this strong commander. And then when they take that machine gun nest and Doc Rowe gets shot up and he dies, he finally just comes out and he says, I'm just a school teacher. I'm not here. I'm nobody special. I'm just here to try and complete a mission so I can go back home to my wife.
Yeah. And sometimes I think about how my wife may not even recognize me.
Yeah. And then what scene should have won him the Oscar is when he's sitting in the foxhole by himself, away from his men, and he can finally break down and just let out all the pent up emotion he's felt the whole time.
Making me want to watch this, buddy. It's been a while.
It's so good.
I could put it on at any time. It never gets old.
And, I want to give a brief shout out to a scene that honestly makes me laugh every time I watch. I don't remember exactly where it is in the movie, but it's just them talking. He's just like, maybe you should shut up.
Oh yeah. That's right before they take that machine gun nest where Tom Sizemore is like, maybe he just wants to be involved. Maybe I'll go left. No, with your legs, that'll never happen.
Nick really reminds me of Upham.
That would be me in war.
Jeremy Davies.
But I think that is the point, is that he is kind of the embodiment of the viewer.
Sure.
Yes.
You'd be terrified.
People that have never seen combat, you're getting thrown into the situation, and he is the viewer. And I've watched countless videos on it. I just can't breaking it down. There's just a lot of things. I find new things every time I watch a video describing it, and it's just it always gives. It's something that always gives.
It's a great number one.
Man, I was gonna watch Beavis and Butthead Do America tonight, but now I kind of want to watch Saving Private Ryan.
No, stick with the original plan. That's okay.
I'm surprised the Star Spangled Banner didn't start playing in the background right there.
Yeah, please just stick with the original plan, man.
So now Seth, with you, when it comes to Big, why is that your favorite film of all time? Like, what makes that stand out of all the countless films that you've seen?
Just like with Nick said, a lot of it comes back to memories as a kid. It was just a movie that I'd watch with my parents over and over. My dad loves it. We'd watch it over and over, probably on some bootleg VHS that he recorded off TV where you had to fast forward through the commercials, It's just one of those movies, in terms of favorite, it's my favorite Tom Hanks movie. I don't think it's the best movie he's ever done, but in terms of the one that I could go back to over and over, watch it, just something about it. I don't know. It's like I said, I a lot of it is because I watched a lot as a kid, but even as an adult, you can view it from a different way, and it's great. It's something about Tom running around New York City, pretending to be, acting as a 13-year-old kid. Just fantastic. Always has a special place for me.
What's crazy? I just realized that I never even talked about my number two, and my number two was Big.
Oh, did we skip over it?
I totally forgot because I was so moved by the whole Castaway discussion. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, something's not right. But
I was going to say, I thought you skipped something, but I wasn't going to interrupt. I was just going to let you go with it.
But no, before moving on to my number one, Big, I remember watching it a lot as a kid as well, and I adored it. And then there was a long period where I didn't go back to it because I'm like, I don't know if that movie's going to hold well for me as an adult. Because you know how whenever you watch someone as a kid and then you go back to it many years later, it's
happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And with Big, I mean, it's just a feel-good, charming, wholesome comedy, fantasy film. Like, it's a really touching movie. And his performance is just so good. And, you know, like going back to how it was Oscar nominated, like that was a tough task, like Nick brought up earlier, of how he's an adult that's technically a kid stuck in an adult's body that's trying to act like an adult. Like, that's a very difficult task to accomplish. And the fact that he did it so seamlessly, it didn't feel goofy, it didn't feel ridiculous, it felt pretty great. It was just amazing. It's one of the best comedic performances I've ever seen.
I agree.
And I truly like, and that movie just moves me every time. And I love the banter between him and Billy. I think Elizabeth Perkins is great. John Hurd, rest in peace. He's fantastic in this. Give me the ball, you little shit.
Give me the goddamn ball.
Well, I'm cheating.
Bob's office.
Bob's office is bigger than my office.
And Robert Loggia, incredible too. But and to briefly talk about this, one of my favorite moments in the movie, and not many people talk about, is the scene at the toy store. But it's not the piano scene. That's obviously incredible. There's like a shot that's like being held on this family walking by. He comes out of nowhere, like jumping like on a horse. That is one of the funniest things ever.
It's so good.
Like, it just it's just so static and like, oh, it's perfect comedic timing.
Legitimately looking like a man, acting like he would as a kid.
I mean, I think he really nailed that performance in terms of, you know, he knows he looks like an adult, but the subtle performance that he's really 13 or however old he was, you know, it's not, like you said, it's not cheesy, it's not overdone. I think some of the best acting Tom's ever done in his career is that first night he's in the hotel and Billy leaves. And, you know, you realize, hey, I'm a young kid in this seedy New York hotel, and there's gunshots, and I mean the when he starts crying, man, that's some great acting.
Honestly, a moment that really moves me is I just want to go home, Susan. Oh God.
Oh God.
Yep.
Truly, just
was, you know, when you watch that as a kid, when you watch it as a kid, you know, you think, oh, it's a fun movie about a kid who got changed into an adult, and that's the fun part of it. But as an adult, you watch it and you realize,
and you know,
your childhood.
And as a kid, obviously, you miss some of the jokes that they're going for.
Right.
So as an adult, you know, you mean like a sleepover? Yeah. Okay. But I get to be on top.
I know. That didn't click for me until I was much older.
Oh my God. Great stuff. Truly a great film. Now, let me ask you this, Seth. Can you do the whole song by heart? Do you know the whole song by heart? Do you or do you not? I want to see if you know it by heart. If not, it's totally fine, but I'm just curious since it's your favorite film of all time.
I would butcher it a little bit. I would.
I don't know the whole song, but I think I know what they say.
I don't know the whole song either.
Goes down, baby. Yeah,
down the roller coaster, sweet baby, sweet, let me go. Shimmy, shimmy, rock, shimmy, cockabah.
Fantastic.
Man, the girlfriend, the Triscuit. Oh, so good. So now going into my number one, I think it's shocking to everyone that my favorite Tom Hanks film isn't a movie where he's the lead, and that's Catch Me If You Can. Now, Catch Me If You Can, for me, it wasn't until last year where I thought about it. I'm like, you know, I've seen this and Goodfellas so many times throughout my life, but then I kept thinking about it. Which one have I seen more? Which one do I think about more? And which one really clicks for me more? And that's Catch Me If You Can. I just think that, like, obviously Spielberg's a genius. Yeah, he's had some clunkers, but when you really think about Spielberg, unfortunately, Catch Me If You Can isn't a film that a lot of people talk about. You know, everyone talks about the Jaws, the Jurassic Park, the E.T.s. But then when people talk about his big budget stuff, like they talk about Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List, but no one ever talks about Catch Me If You Can, which is sad because it's Spielberg, Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio, like that trio. It's a loaded trio. It's a great trio. And just the fact that this all happened is just so shocking to me. Like, it's a very interesting story. It's a very engrossing story. And yeah, it's a really funny film. The knock knock, who's there? Go fuck yourself. One of the best fake Boston accents I've ever heard in my life. Like, just so good. But recently, like within the last few years, I think the reason why it's clicked with me so much is because Frank Abagnale, he's a broken character. You know, his parents are going through a divorce. He doesn't feel like he has any purpose. And then he takes on conning all these people, and he loves it. And the sequences, yeah, and the sequences that get to me, like every single Christmas, they talk to each other on the phone. Merry Christmas, Carl. Merry Christmas, Frank. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to catch you, whatever. And the phone call in particular, there's two of them that get to me. One of them is, you didn't call just to talk. You have no one else to call. Carl's laughing about it, but realistically, he's correct. Frank has nobody in his life because he's traveling all around the world, conning all these people and scamming them and everything. And then the second phone call where he's like, stop chasing me. He's like, I can't stop. It's my job. And you could see that Carl deep down doesn't hate Frank. He doesn't like what Frank's doing, but he says to him, you're just a kid. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not your kid. So it's a really, like, you don't think about like the kind of father-son dynamic to the movie. You don't really think about that. But then when you watch it so many times and see it, it's so apparent and it really moves me. And, you know, we talk about like scenes that make us cry in movies. Like we've been talking about that throughout this episode. I think the scene that really affects me the most, and yeah, spoiler word. I mean, the movie's 20 years old. If you haven't seen it,
if you haven't seen it by now, too bad.
Like, come on, like seriously. So they're on the plane going back to New York, and he's like, Carl, you have to, you need to let me call my father. And then he breaks the news about his dad dying. And then he escapes the plane and goes to his childhood home and sees his stepsister. And then he just surrenders himself to the police. It's so fucking sad. And it's like so perfect because it plays the Christmas song by Nat King Cole under it. God. It's so beautiful and so perfect that, and there's just this shot. You see him in the mirror of the car. And then his mom, her husband, and her daughter are just standing there in the back, blurred out, and it's just
Bryan, you're making my dust off the old Blu-ray over here.
Oh my god! Yeah. And best opening sequence I think I've ever seen. Like the coolest opening sequence. It's literally a cat and mouse movie, and it's oh my god! I just love this movie so much. It really does not get the attention that it deserves. And again, it's not the best film I've ever seen. It's not even Tom Hanks' best film, but it's so fucking good. And Tom Hanks in it is amazing. It just his back and forth with DiCaprio is on a whole other level. And I'm kind of shocked they never did a movie together again. Like that's a really great pairing. And I hope that down the road they get to do a movie together again. Yeah, Catch Me If You Can, my favorite film of all time, my favorite Tom Hanks film. Just so good.
Man. Yeah, I always thought it was just crazy how that movie seems so underappreciated when you consider it's Spielberg, Hanks, DiCaprio. I mean, that's a big trio, man. And for some reason, it just kind of slides under the radar. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's so good. So now, before we talk about some of the films that didn't make the cut, we're going to recap our list. So, Nick, what is your list from 5 to 1?
My list: 5, Philadelphia; 4, Big; 3, Castaway; 2, Forrest Gump; and number 1, Saving Private Ryan.
And Seth?
We got Catch Me If You Can at number 5. Thank God Bryan talked about that. Did it way more justice than I did. I'm like, I think it's a movie about a con artist. I haven't seen it in 5-10 years, but whatever. We got Apollo. Yeah, we got Apollo 13 at number 4, Saving Private Ryan at number 3, Castaway at number 2, and we have Big at number 1.
And number 5 for me is Saving Private Ryan. Number 4, Forrest Gump. Number 3, Castaway. Number 2, Big. And number 1, Catch Me If You Can. So going through the films that didn't make the cut, and obviously we talked about this a little bit off camera. There's so many great films in Tom's filmography. So just to run down a few for me in terms of honorable mentions, obviously the Toy Story films, so good, all of them. I even really liked the 4th one. It wasn't necessary, but I enjoyed it honestly a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Sure.
Saving Mr. Banks, incredible stuff, like truly great. Captain Phillips, he should have been nominated for that. The last 10 minutes alone are just some of the best acting he's ever done. Oh my god. Philadelphia, obviously. A League of Their Own is very good. Apollo 13. I know there's so many to choose. Road to Perdition is very underrated. No one ever talks about that. Whenever people talk about Sam Mendes, they never talk about that film.
Never talk
like
about
it's
that one.
so good, truly so good. And I know this film gets a bad rep. I'm actually a very big fan of The Terminal. His accent is a little wonky and goofy, but it's a very again, like Tom Hanks brings that charm to that character. The accent is a little crabby. I wait for airport. I wait here forever. Like, but it's so good.
I think Saving Mr. Banks is a really beautiful movie too, and his performance as Walt Disney is not like it's whatever. A lot of people probably could have done that.
Yeah,
but that film in and of itself, I think, it's.
I get chills every time I watch the "Let's Go Fly" kite scene. Oh my god!
Oh god! When they are watching the premiere and she's just breaking down. Oh, it's because she hates it, but it's like it's still
right. Yeah, at that point, she finally seems a little human, you know.
Yeah.
I definitely had a Captain Phillips on the outsider of this list. You know, that was. I agree with Bryan. Definitely some of his finest acting, especially the end of that movie. I remember watching it in the theater and thinking, "Man, this is some Tom at the top of his game," you know. And I do really enjoy that movie. I've seen it a handful of times, and definitely Toy Story, of course.
Do you guys like A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood?
Saw that in the theater. I thought it was okay. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Hanks did a good job. I'm not sure if that was. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I saw the movie and I was a big fan of it when I saw it, but I've never really had a desire of going back to watch it. But he was good in it. He was very good in it.
Yeah, it was just not what I thought it was going to be, but it was. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and to go through some of the films he has coming out, and he's got a lot. Obviously, Elvis is right around the corner. I don't know how I feel about Elvis going into it. Honestly, I'm not a big Baz Luhrmann fan. I like Moulin Rouge, but that's about it.
Right.
And I don't know, just like the impression that Nick did in the start. It's a very weird performance. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah. It's
I'm hit or miss with him, yeah.
But I really like Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge is good. But that's about it. I know you guys like Gatsby. I wasn't too crazy about Gatsby.
I do enjoy Gatsby.
I wasn't too crazy about that one. I love Leo in it. He's great, but I don't know. I'm just not as crazy about it as I wish I was.
Fair enough, old sport.
Yeah, fuck off, old sport.
Be an old sport and fuck off, old sport.
So to go through the films he has coming out, so he has a movie called A Man Called Otto coming out, which is a remake of a film called A Man Called Ove, and it's from Mark Forster. And
I've heard of that.
I like that movie.
Yeah, I heard that's very good. So he has that coming out later this year. Pinocchio from Robert Zemeckis. I don't know why. I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know. But I mean, if you're gonna,
The Witches was such a success.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, Zemeckis did that, didn't he?
Yeah. Awful. But
I watched it at some girl's laptop on the airplane. I was just looking over her shoulder. I'm like, yeah, I don't need.
Oh, it was awful.
I don't need to see it anymore.
Sir, quit sniffing my hair.
Sniffing Ron, sir.
That's Finch. Did you guys see Finch?
I haven't seen Finch yet.
It's not bad. It was better than Greyhound.
It is to burn.
Oh, Greyhound was so forgettable.
Yeah, Greyhound was just like
so
mediocre.
A very average movie. Pinocchio. I mean, honestly, if you're going to cast anyone as Geppetto, he is a good fit, and that's the first time he's working with Zemeckis again in live action form since Castaway, which is kind of cool.
Oof, wow.
I know Nick is going to be very excited for this Asteroid City, the Wes Anderson film. I don't know. I'm really curious to know what his role in this is going to be.
Wait, I mean, he's working with Wes.
Yeah,
he can get anybody he wants at this point.
Like the cast for this movie is so massive. I'm just going to read it off right now.
I didn't even hear about this movie yet.
Yeah, so Tom Hanks, Jeff Goldblum, Maya Hawke, Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson, Bryan Cranston, Adrian Brody, Bill Murray, Liev Schreiber, Fisher Stevens, Jeffrey Wright. Basically his typical cast and everything.
Plus some others.
Yeah, but
What's the synopsis for that?
It just says rumored to be a love story set in Europe.
Well, I mean, you know.
Between Tom Hanks and Maya Hawke?
Maybe Tom Hanks and Jeff Goldblum.
As long as it's not in a hotel or a newspaper office.
True.
For a hotel.
That is so true. But one that I'm very excited for, and I think you guys talked about on your podcast, was a movie called Here, which is actually Robert Zemeckis directing, Eric Roth writing, and Tom Hanks and Robin Wright starring in it.
Oh yeah.
Shit. That's like a Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Nick, I think
back.
you did bring that up at one point.
Yeah, all it says here is that it's set in one single room, follows the many people who inhabited over years and years from the past to the future.
Wow.
Like, that does sound really cool. And the
sounds
fact
like
that
a Cloud Atlas sequel.
I hope it's better than that and not as long as that. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, what can you say about Tom Hanks that hasn't been said already? Like we said, he's one of the best, truly. And do you guys have any closing thoughts about good old T. Hanks?
My favorite actor of all time. So all this did was make me want to go back and watch all these films, which is it's a good thing. So
yeah,
nothing else to say about the great Tom. He is one of the best.
Agreed. So, fellas, seriously, thank you guys so much for coming on here today to talk to me about Tom Hanks.
Thanks for having us. Man. It's been a blast.
I'm really, really grateful that you guys came on here. As I said to you guys off camera, been a big fan of you guys for years since the beginning. And really, guys, I mean, please follow these guys' content. So now it's time to plug. So where could they find you guys? Letterboxd, Instagram, YouTube, whatever.
Plug it, Nick.
Well, you can find us on YouTube at Slacker Media. You can find us on Apple Music, Cinema Scumbags Movie Podcast. You can find Seth on Letterboxd at Seth Talks Film.
For the greatest film opinions of all time. Brian, are you on there? You're on there, aren't you?
I am on there. I think I follow both of you. I think I follow you guys. You know, I know you guys don't like cringy comedy. I don't like cringy comedy either. I just write normal reviews, or I just don't write reviews at all. So
it's all good. I'll just make fun of you. I'll follow you. Make fun of you.
Hey, that's totally fine. I love a good old bullying on Letterboxd.
I love a good old ribbing.
Yes. I love it. I love it so much. And Nick, I mean, your profile picture is a mood every day. Like literally, it's a mood every day.
Is it still the Dustin Hoffman expression?
Oh man,
we really appreciate, Brian. The next thing will be to have you come on to our show, where maybe you'll get 2 more followers for your content.
Oh man, I love it. But yeah, seriously, guys. So guys listening out there, we're on all social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to this channel, rate us on all these platforms. I'm very excited that these guys came on to start this new revival of Film Fragments. And until next time, guys, we'll see you around. And I want Seth to say his line. So
Go
Seth, yes, everyone, please, as Seth said, go fuck yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.
See ya.